Hey gardeners, as promised, I'm gonna do a little recipe to cook the kale that I harvested recently. I put out a little message on my personal Instagram asking friends what I should do with this kale, and I got a lot of responses, and on the recipes I chose a very simple soup that I'm going to make. Shout out to my friend Lauren who sent me this recipe. You can find the recipe online. If I can link it in the YouTube description below, I will. But the website is called Real Food Whole Life, and it is a kale, chicken, and sweet potato recipe. It's gluten-free, which is important because I have celiac disease. My kitchen is relatively prepped and ready. I have this actually like terribly stained but gross apron, but it makes me look absolutely snatched. So I'm excited to do this. Kicking off with our ingredients. We're gonna need 2 pounds of sweet potatoes, so that's about 2 to 4 depending on what size that you get. You're gonna need 1 bunch of kale, which we are getting from our garden. Side note, I learned how to store kale once you harvest it. So where I went wrong the first time is I took it from the garden, I washed it, and then I put it in the fridge, and then it wilted and got gross and mushy. Apparently not supposed to do that. So what I did instead is I got my kale, I put it in this Ziploc bag with a paper towel and then put it in my vegetable drawer, and it's still looking healthy, still looking nice and crisp. But before we cook it, we definitely need to wash it. And I mentioned in my last video, always wash your vegetables, people. The other ingredient we're gonna need is 64 ounces of chicken stock. I did not read the 64 ounces piece when I went to the grocery store, so I have roughly 64 ounces, half chicken stock, half chicken broth. Personally, I don't know the difference. In my mind, I think chicken stock is more flavorful. Someone fact check me on that, I don't know. I forgot to mention you're also going to need 1 pound of chicken for this recipe, whether it's chicken breast or chicken thighs. You're also going to need salt and Italian seasoning. There's also 2 cloves of garlic, but fresh garlic hurts my tummy, so we're just going to use freeze-dried instead. But last but not least is going to be olive oil. The recipe also calls for a slow cooker, but we don't have time for that, so we're going to use the Instapot, which if you don't have an Instapot, great investment, especially if you like slow cooked meals but don't have the time for it. So now that we have our ingredients list, our first step is going to be peeling our sweet potatoes and then chopping them up into about like 1-inch size pieces. It's all going to go in the Instapot anyway, so I think the idea is just small enough for it to get soft in there. If you just stick the whole potato in there, it's just going to be a hard rock, so just give it enough space and surface area for it to cook. So I thought I was recording sound this whole time when I was peeling them, but I didn't. I thought it was going to be a little ASMR-y for y'all. But yeah. This is our final product. It's close enough. It doesn't have to be completely naked. It's just enough for the majority of the skin to be off. And we're gonna cut it anyway, so these little nubbins on the end will be gone when we do that. So we're gonna go ahead and chop them up into little bits, and I'm gonna try and remember to put the sound on for that, but I guess we'll see. This looks close enough. I think I'm gonna go a little bit smaller because my fear is if I go too big and I go through this whole process and they're still hard, I'm gonna be upset. So I'd rather be safe than sorry and make them smaller. See, there's an easier way to do it. It's just tearing it off, I guess. Wow, that was so much easier. Why did I not do that the first time? If this is bad knife technique, don't come at me. I'm not a chef. I'm just a girl. Okay, we have our wonderful, beautiful kale. Hello, look at her. As I was chopping it up, I was like, it's kind of stinky. It's kind of stinky and smelly. I don't really eat kale. Like, I'm trying to think of the last time that I've had it. I think it has a reputation for being bitter, just like me. But yeah, as I was chopping, it's like, that's a freaking smell. I mean, we're gonna see how it goes. I think when it's cooked with stuff, it's gonna be fine. I think a lot of people are very kale avoidant because it has that reputation of being bitter, but in my opinion, if you put it with the right stuff, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's kind of like whenever you're a kid and your mom hides vegetables in your food, so you eat it. It's all about how you cook it. The other thing is sweet potatoes and kale. It's a good recipe for a lot of reasons, especially now. So many people are eating like insane amounts of protein and not enough fiber. So if you're that person, this recipe's for you. You need fiber. Otherwise, you're just eating a bunch of protein, and I imagine you're not shitting. So this one might be for you. All right, so we have our cut sweet potatoes, our kale, and our chicken thighs. It did say you can use chicken breast, but I personally find chicken breast to be really dry, so we're using chicken thighs, baby. All right, like I mentioned, I'm going to use an Instapot instead of a slow cooker because I can do whatever the hell I want. And I'm gonna layer it chicken first, then sweet potatoes, then kale. And I don't have a thing that specifically says Italian seasoning. Instead, I'm gonna use a group of seasonings that I associate as Italian. Don't give me shit for that. This is our freeze-dried garlic that I'm gonna use. Go crazy. Herbs de provenance. Okay, like I mentioned, I didn't read the directions in the ingredient list as carefully as I should have. So I do have chicken stock, but this is only 32 ounces. But I had some chicken broth left over in our fridge, and it's almost a full 32 ounces. So theoretically, it hits about however much we need. So this is just gonna have to be close enough, and it's all gonna go in. Instapots are a little different. As opposed to slow cooker, it just makes really hot and really high pressure in there. And like, it obliterates it. Like, if you want something tender fast, this is the product to do it. I'm just a really big fan of it. So I'm gonna put the lid on, and then I'm going to, there's a bunch of buttons on here. I'll put a picture, but you basically turn it on and you put on what kind of food you're making. So there's like a soup broth option, a meat stew option. Because it's chicken, I'm tempted to just put meat stew because I don't want the chicken to be undercooked. So I'm gonna close this baby up, make sure that the knob is on tight so that no air leaks out. Go meat stew and turn it on, and then we'll theoretically have a soup after this. We have our final product. The recipe says to shred the chicken, and so I kind of skipped filming that part because I thought it was going to be embarrassing watching me try to shred a chicken in there. But it actually just like fell apart as I took it out. So like that stuff was like super tender. I'm gonna have to blow on it because it's like steaming hot. But I'm gonna give you a little visual of what it looks like. It smells really good, so this looks very promising. and we're gonna try it and see how it goes. I'm trying to get just the right amount of chicken and kale and sweet potato in one bite, and it's proving to be difficult. Okay, that looks good. Damn, that's pretty good. I was unsure because I've never had sweet potato in a soup before. Also, I'm like in a leather chair, so it's just making a bunch of noises. I've never had sweet potato in a soup before, so I was a little worried I was gonna be odd because the consistency is a bit odd looking, but it tastes pretty good. If I were to rate this recipe, I would give it like a good 7. I would say because of how easy it is. It's delicious. I wouldn't say it's like blowing my mind, but I think it's a really good use of kale, especially if you don't have a lot of time. Like I said, the instapot is great. I think it took a total of like maybe a little bit under an hour. So it pressurizes it for 40 minutes, but it takes probably about 10 to 15 minutes to get to peak pressure, and then it counts down. So I would say about an hour, then add 15 minutes in terms of preparation. So I put that at maybe like an hour and 15 minutes. Although like the actual time in which you're like physically cooking and chopping stuff up is like 15-20 minutes. Otherwise it's just sitting in a pot and it's doing its thing. But this is pretty dang good. If I were to change anything or like make modifications, so I like to cook quite a bit, and I very loosely, if you can tell by this video, I very loosely follow directions. I kind of just get the vibe and then I cook off of it. Sometimes I will take a recipe and then add my own little zhuzh to it. So something I might consider doing is adding rice or noodles. If you wanted to make it more of a stew and less of a soup, you could make a cornstarch stew that thickens it. So some people use flour, arrowroot. Because I'm celiac, I use cornstarch. If you wanted to thicken that liquid and then add in noodles or something like that, you can turn this soup into more of a stew situation. I thought I was gonna screw this up because I didn't have enough chicken stock. It actually turned out great. I eyeballed it for the most part, but it kind of seems like it's hard to screw up. I mean, I don't want to like say that and then someone comments being like, yeah, well, I managed to screw it up. Okay, if you've seen my assembly videos and you've ever watched me cook in the kitchen, trust me, you can go wrong. I can go wrong. But yeah, the kale tastes delicious. It doesn't taste bitter at all. I do want to do a recipe where it's just like a kale salad. So a family member, Lauren, again, thanks to all the Laurens, gave me a nice kale salad recipe that I'm gonna try with the next bunch that I get. But yeah, that was fun. If you enjoyed watching this really chaotic version of cooking, let me know in the comments. I hope this recipe is nice, and if y'all want to make it, hell yeah.